Am I the a-hole for refusing to forgive my mom after she abandoned me for 10 years? I, 20M, grew up with a very unusual start to life. My parents were young when they dated, and my mother got pregnant with me. They broke up during the pregnancy, and my mother made it crystal clear that she had no interest in being a parent. She called my dad to the hospital when I was born, handed me to him, and basically said, "You wanted to be a parent, so you can do it." And she left. That was the last I saw of her for the first 10 years of my life. There was no contact, no phone calls, no cards on birthdays or Christmas, no child support. Nothing. My dad did pursue child support through the courts, but she avoided responsibility in every way possible. She just disappeared from my life while my dad, who was still so young himself, raised me completely on his own. And let me say this, my dad did an amazing job. He wasn't perfect, no single parent is, but he was committed. He put me first always. He worked long hours to provide for us, made sure I had clothes, food, and even managed to still give me a happy childhood despite how hard it must have been for him. When I'd ask about my mom, he never trashed her. He'd keep his tone neutral with maybe a slightly positive spin, just so I wouldn't hate myself for being half her. He told me things like, "Your mom had a hard time, but that doesn't mean you're not loved," or, "She just wasn't ready for parenting, but that's not about you." Looking back, I realize how important that was because I was a sensitive, insecure kid. If he had told me how awful she really was, I probably would have grown up with deep self-loathing and insecurity. I didn't appreciate it at the time, but now, I respect him so much for protecting my emotional well-being even when she gave him every reason to poison me against her. Then, a few weeks after I turned 10, my mother suddenly reappeared. Out of nowhere, she came back into the picture and acted like she could just waltz in and play supermom. She told my dad she wanted to take me and raise me now. No apology. No explanation. Just this expectation that I would move in with her and treat her like mom after a decade of absence. Naturally, I said no. I told her I wanted to stay with my dad. I told her she was a stranger to me, and that's exactly what she was. But instead of trying to prove herself or repair the relationship, she got nasty. When she didn't get her way, she dropped a bomb. She told us that my dad wasn't even my real dad, and that I belonged with her because I was someone else's child. She said it purely out of spite, trying to hurt my dad and break our bond. And for a while it worked, at least on me. I was devastated. I felt guilty that my dad had raised me all these years without knowing for sure, and terrified that he might reject me if it turned out I wasn't biologically his. I didn't want another dad. I didn't want to lose the only parent I had ever known. My dad, though, was incredible through all of it. He spent so much time reassuring me that no matter what a DNA test said, I was his son. Period. He told me over and over that I was his child in every way that mattered, and that he loved me unconditionally. Still, I couldn't shake the fear that someone else might come into the picture and try to replace him. Eventually, my dad paid for a private DNA test. Deep down, he believed I was his biological son, but he wanted to give me certainty and peace of mind. The results proved it. I was his kid, 100%. My mother was dead wrong. And honestly, even if she had been right, he had already proven himself to be my real dad in every way that mattered. After that, my mother disappeared again, furious that things hadn't gone her way. She wanted me to just fall into her arms and abandon the man who had raised me, and when I didn't, she bolted. That was it. For years, she was gone again. Fast forward to just a couple of months ago, after 10 years of silence, she reappeared in my life. This time, she wasn't alone. She had moved to my town with her new husband and his 2 little kids. They actually came by my dad's house to introduce themselves, as if we were all supposed to play happy family. She smiled and told me that his kids' biological mother had died, and now she was going to raise them as her own. Then she had the audacity to suggest that I should join in, that I'd be their big brother, and we'd all be a family together. I shut that down immediately. I told her I wanted nothing to do with her or her new family. I told her that after what she had done to me and my dad, she had no right to show up and act like I'd ever see her as my mom. I told her she was a spiteful, cruel person and unworthy of the title of mother. My exact words were that she could F off and die in a hole. She acted shocked and offended, like I had no right to be angry after all these years. She tried to argue that it was years ago and she's grown since then. Her husband wasn't happy either. He apparently didn't like my attitude and accused me of being heartless. According to him, I'm a monster for telling her off because now his kids will lose 2 mothers before they're 5. That stung a little because those kids are innocent in all this. But at the same time, It's not my responsibility to give her a second chance, just so his kids can have a mother figure. She made her choices. She abandoned me. She tried to break me and my dad apart. She doesn't get to rewrite history now just because she's playing house with someone else's children. Since then, she's tried approaching me a few more times. She wants me to hear her out and give her a chance. I've ignored her completely every time. I don't want a relationship with her. I don't want explanations or apologies. I don't want to risk opening the door to let her hurt me again. Now, part of me wonders if I was too harsh. Her husband's words stick with me sometimes, and I catch myself questioning whether I'm being cruel for shutting her out completely. But then I remind myself, I'm 20 now, the same age my parents were when I was born. I still feel way too young to even think about raising kids. And yet, even now, I know with absolute certainty that I would never abandon my child the way she abandoned me. She wasn't a scared teenager when she bailed. A grown woman, old enough to know better. And she still chose to leave me and my dad in the dust.
So no.
I don't want to hear her excuses. I don't want her in my life. I want nothing to do with her, now or ever. But does that make me the a hole?